while ago about the right of the minority being heard. So, in the real scenario, or based on your experience, Congressman, are the minority really being heard?
Yes. Especially in my committee, I can give you an assurance 100%. I listen to everybody. In fact, sometimes the minority members of the Committee on Constitutional Amendments take up more time than the majority members.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
We do that in Congress. We always give them a fair chance to air their views.
But this is where actually parliamentary procedure goes in, because along the way, as you were explaining for the laws, okay, we were at first reading. At second reading is when the committee.
No, the committee finishes its work. It reports now to the plenary session.
To the plenary.
It goes to the plenary session now for second reading. That is where any member can question. Any member can speak in favor. Any member can speak against the bill that is presently on the floor.
And then also these rules for your parliamentary procedure come in because this is also the period of amendments?
Yes. After the period of debate, pagpalagay na, tapos na po nagsalita yung mga pabor dito sa bill na ito. Pagpalagay na, some of you are in favor of the overpass. Some of you are not in favor kasi malalampasan yung kanyang restaurant doon sa dadaanan. For whatever reason. After all the debates, then we have what we call a motion to close the debates. Tapos na po ang oras. And so, the chair now say, period of amendments. So, kung gusto mong magpresenta ng amendment, pabor ka doon sa bill. Kaya lang hindi mo gusto yung kabuuan ng bill. Gusto mong mabawasan lang ng konti. Payag ako sa overpass. Kaya lang hindi dapat ganun kataas. Ibaba natin ng konti. O kaya imbes na dito, papunta rito ng konti nang hindi maperwisyo yung mga negosyo sa baba.
Congressman, what sorts of motions do you deal in in the House?
What do you mean?
Let us go through the concept of motion. So, you always hear people saying, Mr. Speaker, I move this, or I move that we do that. What are they talking about?
Well, it depends on the kind of motion. For example, there is a motion to close the debates.
Okay.
Pagkatapos mabigyan ang majority as well as minority, or mapagbigyan yung sponsor of the bill as well as those who would want to talk against the bill.
Now, a motion is basically a decision or action proposed for the body to adopt as a whole.
Yes.
And that when it comes to these different motions, there is a hierarchy of motions,
Yes.
isn't it?
We have what we call the privilege motion. We have the ordinary motion. And it all depends on the situation at hand, what kind of a motion you want to do. For example, you want to move that we vote on the bill. And so, magbubutohan na po. Bago magbutohan, you can file a motion. If you want, for example, there is a doubt, they say, all those in favor of the bill say aye. Aye. All those against the bill say nay. Nay. There is a doubt on who has the preponderance, the ayes or the nays. So one can stand up in a motion and say, I move for the division of the House.
Okay, when you were doing the ayes or the nays, it's what's called a viva voce vote, where it's simply palakasan.
Yes.
Now, if someone doubts that it was resolved, then a division of the House means everyone has to register their vote.
In fact, the chair, motu proprio, can call for a division of the House if the chair doubts what to announce.
Okay.
It does not wait for any motion. But aside from the division of the House, where all those in favor, please stand, and then the tellers count how many stood up. How many against, again, those against stand up, then they count again. But in very important cases, we usually resort to what we call the nominal voting. On the request of 10%, there can be a nominal voting. Usually, when it is requested, it is granted by the chair, so that each one may stand up to be recognized on whether he is in favor or not, especially in controversial measures.
Tony, we have another question.
Narciso here is curious about something.
Yes, Narciso.
Sir, is there a specific duration of the debate, or is there such some instances wherein some speaker would like to speak of something, but it is...
Yes, there is usually a timetable for this. a time given to the majority, a time given to the minority, or either the proposer or the proponent of the motion or those who are against. But it can always be extended also, especially if it's a very important thing like CARP, extension of the CARP. We have been debating it for many hours. Why? Because of its importance, it's given more time.
Now, we're going to be showing you a list, Congressman Ortega, of different motions that people make, such as parliamentary inquiries, or but they're going to look it up on the PowerPoint first, the section where we have parliamentary inquiries and that sort of thing. But when you're looking at these different motions, it always boils down to the vote, because in the end, it's a majority rule in the House of Representatives.
Yes.
People get confused when people say, okay, you're going to vote on a question, but the way it's phrased, if it's phrased in a positive or a negative manner, can often lead to a result that no one was expecting. How does this happen in the House?
Well, before a voting starts, the chair must restate what it is that you are voting on. In fact, the chair goes to the extent, the presiding officer usually says, a vote of yes means that you do not like it. A vote of no means you like it, which is
not logical.
Not logical. But there are times when the motion is to postpone or to defer. So if you do not want to defer, you vote no, meaning to say no deferment.
Okay.
If you are in favor of deferring or postponing, then you vote yes. But yes to postponing, yes to deferment.
So you can't be sleeping in your seat, because you have to be sharp on what's going on.
Sleeping.
Because sometimes the way it's phrased can lead to a radically different outcome.
But usually, most often, if not every time, the chair explains. If you vote yes for the motion, that means this. If you vote no, it means this.
Okay, very quickly, the ones we hear all the time, what is a parliamentary inquiry?
Parliamentary inquiry is, even if you do not want to make a speech, you are not going to debate, but you have a particular question that you would want to be cleared up. You can stand up on a parliamentary inquiry, and it has precedence. Even if someone is talking,
you can butt
in and say, parliamentary inquiry, Mr. Speaker, may I know how much time is left for this side?
Okay. Point of order.
Point of order is when a speaker is already, for example, he has already passed his time, or he's using unparliamentary language. Then any member can stand up and say, point of order, Mr. Speaker. I move to strike out from the records the unparliamentary remarks.
And again, that's a point of information that would
come. Point of information is just to be clarified on a particular thing.
Okay, so these are basically the ways that people sort of try to, in many ways, derail the conversation, but it's because sometimes it could be a legitimate inquiry to make. Now, when there is a question on the rules, how is it resolved?
Well, if there is a question on the rules, then the majority leader usually explains. And the chair has to rule. He can say, for example, Ms. So-and-so, you are out of order. That means to say, take your seat. And if you do not agree with the decision of the chair, you can appeal it.
Okay, so you're not a dictator from the rostrum. In other words, if they don't like what you're doing, they can put it to a vote.
Yes, they can appeal it to the floor, and then the plenary session now will vote.
Now, what happens? This raises the final point we make before we go into the break, which is of precedence. There could be a long-established rule, for example, about the duration of debates or how the chair is handling something. Someone questions it. It's put to the floor. Does that then establish a precedent for all the future Congresses to follow if it's a radical change?
No. The rule usually is what is contained in the rules of the House of Representatives. This book contains the rules of the House that we follow. If there is any question as to a particular rule, then it is referred. I mean to say, the majority leader will refer you to the rule. Rule number 5 says,